Let's be honest, one of the biggest letdowns with most AI assistants is just how bland they are. They have absolutely no personality. Well, in this explainer, we're going to change that. We're going to take your OpenClaw agent and turn it from a generic tool into a proper, personalized assistant.
You know exactly what this means, right? That painfully polite as a large language model tone. The amazing thing about OpenClaw is that it hands you the power to completely tear that up, and it all comes down to one single, incredibly powerful file.
And that's our promise for this session. By the time we're done here, you'll have the actual, practical skills to not only shape your agent's personality, but also to start bolting on brand new abilities.
So here's the plan. We're going to start with crafting that personality. Then we'll look at how it can actually grow and change. After that, we'll dive into the OpenClaw skills system, and we'll wrap up by installing a real, useful skill from ClawHub. Sound good? Let's get into it.
Right. First things first, let's give our agent some character. This is where we leave the default settings in the dust and start making something that is truly yours.
So, to make this concrete, just imagine you want an agent that behaves like a grumpy, seen-it-all senior engineer. You can literally spell out its traits, be direct, use a dry sense of humor, always value getting it right over being fast, and for goodness sake, no emojis. You can even tell it to push back on you if it thinks your ideas are rubbish. All of that is possible.
It sounds a bit too good to be true, doesn't it? I mean, how can a single, simple text file have such a massive impact on how a really complex AI system behaves?
Well, here's the secret sauce. That SOUL.md file isn't just read once and forgotten. Oh no. It is loaded into the agent's active context at the beginning of every single conversation. This is what stops prompt drift, where the AI slowly forgets its instructions. With OpenClaw, your rules are always front and center.
But what's really clever is that SOUL.md doesn't work in a vacuum. It's actually part of a layered system of 4 files. As you can see, each one answers a really basic question to build up a complete, well-rounded persona. Let's quickly break them down.
First up, you've got identity.md. Just think of this as the agent's birth certificate. It's for the simple, hard facts. What's its name? What's its main job? Is it your admin helper or your creative partner? This file sets that fundamental identity.
Then you have user.md, and this one, as the name suggests, is all about you. It's where you can put your preferences, a bit about your background, even how you like to work. This is how the agent starts to get you, so it can give you answers tailored to your needs, not just generic ones.
And here we are, back at our main focus for today, SOUL.md. This is the personality core. This is where you define the tone of voice, the core values, what it should and shouldn't do, and, this is super important, the rules for how it can learn and evolve from its conversations with you.
And finally, there's agents.md. Think of this as the technical operating manual, or a runbook. It lays out the step-by-step instructions for how to use tools or access memory to get a job done. To be honest, most of us won't touch this file much at the start, but it's there for when you need to define really specific, repeatable processes.
Now, here is a massive pro tip for writing in any of these files. Less is more. Follow the minimum necessary principle. Don't write something vague like, be helpful. That's useless. Be specific, be actionable. Say something like, when asked a question with a yes/no answer, always start with the yes or no before giving the explanation. See, that's a concrete rule the agent can actually follow.
Okay, let's move on to what I think is easily the most mind-blowing feature of this entire system. This is the agent's ability to actually learn and adapt on its own.
And this is it. This is the wow moment. When you tell your agent, hey, remember this, it doesn't just stick it in some temporary cache. It actually has permission to go back and physically edit its own core files, the SOL.md and user.md we just talked about.
So the feedback loop looks like this. You can just say, in plain English, from now on, never use emojis in your responses. The agent understands that instruction, processes it as a new core rule for its personality, and then it literally opens its own SOL.md file and adds that new line of text. The persona grows with you in real time. It's amazing.
Right, so we've sorted out who the agent is. Now let's talk about what it can actually do. And that is where the OpenClaw skill system comes into play.
Skills are basically add-ons that give your agent new powers, and they load in a really logical order. At the bottom, you have the bundled skills that come with OpenClaw.
Then you've got your personal user skills that are always available. And right at the top with the highest priority are work skills, which are just for a specific project. This is great because it means you can always override a default skill with your own custom version for a particular task.
And here's a neat little detail about how this works. Your OpenClaw might come with, say, 55 bundled skills ready to go, but the agent is smart. Before it runs, it checks your local system. And if you don't have the right software installed or a required API key, it just marks that skill as inactive. So out of those 55, maybe only 12 are actually eligible to run on your machine.
So, the big question is, where do you get all these new skills? Well, the answer is ClawHub. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like NPM, but for your AI agent. It's an app store for new capabilities.
And when I say it's an app store, I mean it's a huge one. ClawHub is the official marketplace, and it is absolutely massive. We're talking over 19,000 skills contributed by the community. It gives you simple commands to search for, install, and manage all these skills right from your terminal.
Okay, enough theory. Let's get our hands dirty. A fresh OpenClaw installation can't actually search the internet. We're going to fix that right now by installing a real skill, the Tavili web search.
And it really is as simple as these 3 steps in your command line. First, if you don't have it, you install the ClawHub tool itself. Second, you can run a quick search just to make sure you've got the name right. And third, you just tell it ClawHub install Tavili search. That's it.
Now, because this skill uses an external service, there are just a couple of quick setup steps. You'll need to go to the Tavili website, sign up for a free account, and grab an API key. Then you just add that key to your OpenClaw configuration panel, give the service a quick restart, and boom, the skill is now live and ready to use.
And this is where it all comes together so beautifully. To make this new web search skill the default one, you don't go digging around in config files, you just talk to your agent. You tell it, in plain English, from now on, use Tavili search as your default, and it will understand and update its own operating manual automatically.
So let's just recap. We've done it. Your agent now has a unique personality that can learn and grow with you, and you've given it powerful new capabilities, like searching the internet. It can now interact with your files, with external APIs, which, of course, brings up a very, very important question. With all this new power, how do you make sure it's secure? Well, that's what we'll be covering in our next explainer.
And finally, if you want to get all of this up and running on your own machine without having to open a terminal once, the SetupClaw desktop app can handle the entire installation, configuration, and security setup for you. It's £70, and you can find it at setupclaw.uk/app.